after the first week of Auburn spring practice, the quarterbacks have been the talk.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after it. Auburn finishes their first week of spring practice. Tons of talk about the quarterbacks, and it's all been positive. That's refreshing. We're going to go into detail about that, talk about Hugh's seemingly re-energized, and then both sides of the ball having positive news about each one. And that's kind of what you look for out of spring. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But before we do that, you got to give a shout out to Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Go to UncleKeith'sRedSauce.com. Use coupon code TheBarn25 to take 25% off. Or if you live in the state of Alabama, you can go to any Publix, Birmingham, any Piggly Wiggly. If you don't live close to either one of those, go online, save big, buy in bulk, man. Go ahead and get you a whole case so you're stocked up for the rest of spring. If you love salsa, you want to try it with a little bit of a southern kick, you're going to love this stuff. You're going to love the texture. You're going to love the flavor, everything about it, and you're going to support an Auburn family at the same time. So show them some love. Go online, save big. It's Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. It's good, y'all. Auburn knocks out their first week of spring practice, and boy, it's refreshing. Boy, it is refreshing to hear positive news about quarterbacks. It has been so long since the news has not been insert quarterback A is not as good as this insert quarterback backup. The starter's struggling. The backup's great. The third team guy may be even better than the first team guy. There's always been some kind of conversation around so-and-so's not quite as good as the others. And there's always been a quarterback controversy because of that. There may be a little bit of a quarterback controversy, or at least some discussion on who's best, because both quarterbacks are having a great spring. Jackson Arnold is who I think they thought he could be. The confidence around him is very high. Deuce Knight is miles ahead of where they expected him to be, at least for the first week of practice, spring practice. That is refreshing. That is refreshing to hear. You know, going into year 3 where there's so much riding on this because of the momentum you've built on the recruiting trail, rebuilding this roster, so much momentum, so much effort that you've put in, having to sell a vision. And then you finally get to a point to where you can maybe start to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It starts in spring, and maybe next year it'll start in June when they probably start doing OTAs or whatever it is. Regardless, the conversation around quarterbacks this spring is completely different than I can remember over the past, maybe 4 or 5 springs. Going all the way back to maybe even Bo Nix. Always clamoring for the backup because the starter has struggled in spring at times. That's not happening. Both quarterbacks are doing really well. You've seen some clips on Instagram, on Twitter, Jackson throwing touchdowns to, Cam Coleman. You've seen Deuce Knight highlights. I think, honestly, it's a blessing in disguise the way the whole quarterback situation worked out for spring. Huge blessing. I know Hugh was like, I got to have 4 scholarship quarterbacks to run a spring or something like that, whatever he was talking about. I think, honestly, this may be exponentially better. You cannot put a value on all of the reps, all of the experience that these guys are getting right now, and there's only 2 of them. It's literally just Jackson and Deuce. That's all we have right now. Sure, you may have a couple of walk-on guys that you can put out there for scout team or whatever, but those 2 guys are it. And for where Auburn is and how important this year is, and then to keep it rolling beyond this year, if you were to have some success and Deuce is your guy, I mean, I don't think you could draw up a better scenario. 1 and 2, baby. You just got 2 guys, and both of them are getting rave reviews. Some people are getting a little bit twisted when they hear Deuce Knight is having a ton of success because you're so conditioned for that to mean that the other guy sucks. That's not the case this time. Both of these guys are doing really, really well. It's a completely different conversation. You got Jackson, regardless of what happened last year, he's showing a ton of poise. He's extremely accurate. One of the quotes that I've heard people say is, we're completing a ton more passes when Jackson's in than we have in previous years, I assume. The quote ended there. Arm talent, he's got that. He may not have the big arm that Deuce Knight has, but he seems to already have a command of this offense. I think Auburn's offense is probably a lot more similar to the Jeff Lebby offense that he ran 2 years ago. And it's just sort of like an easy transition. I just jump right in. I've got a really good offensive line. I've got incredible receivers. It's huge, man. And then Deuce, he hasn't really even had an opportunity to put his athleticism on display because obviously quarterbacks are not full contact in spring. You knew he could run. You know he can run. The question is, can he play quarterback at this level? And this is where everybody's just blown away at how far along he already is. He looks like a multi-year quarterback, not a incoming true freshman, early enrollee going through his first spring. The arm talent plus the athleticism that is there. That 4.4 is there whenever he needs to skirt and go. That's there. The conversation around quarterbacks is just completely different, and it's very, very exciting. And you can see why the Vegas total, we've been coming out at like 5.5 every year the last couple of years, and now it's all the way up to 7.5. I think you can see why. You're starting to be able to see why. And there's something else I've noticed because of this. There seems to be a little bit of a renewed confidence in Hugh Freeze. I was talking to somebody that was that's pretty close to the staff, and he made a comparison, and I died laughing. But he said it's like in The Waterboy right now with Hugh Freeze. Whenever the coach gets his confidence back and he's got the green notebook, he said that's the way it feels. It feels like he is dialed in with the quarterbacks. He's dialed in with the play calling. They're feeding off him. They are feeding off of him. He is feeding off of them. And you can sense it a little bit when you hear him talk in practice. And it could just be, it could be like that for every spring. I don't know. Anytime, you start back up, you're fired up, and then, you got to get to the season. But Hugh's confidence seems to be extremely rejuvenated. Let's just go with that. But I thought that was a funny comparison. I know it's how tough it's got to be to say, hey, I'm going to take over the offense. We're going to do this thing my way. I'm going to ride or die with me calling the plays, me running the offense. You put everything into it on top of all your other responsibilities. You're trying so hard to make this thing happen, and you have the struggles that you have last year. It's got to just kill you from, hey, can I even do this anymore? And then he's, perked back up, even through, the cancer diagnosis and everything that's going on inside of him. He still seems incredibly excited about the possibilities of this room. And again, I think the two quarterback thing through spring is a blessing in disguise. I really think this could be the best quarterback room Auburn's had in quite a while. And I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to talk about wide receivers and the defense here in just a second. But before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to mybookie.ag. Go to mybookie.ag, use coupon code BARN, BARN, for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You can bet any way you want. If you want to go in there and do big parlays, teasers, round robins, all that stuff, it's just like any other sports book. They got it all. Easy platform to navigate, all the lines you can imagine. Still got a little bit of March Madness left. Get that account set up, get that bonus in there, take that free play and have some fun with it. It's mybookie.ag. And then don't forget to check out rowback.com. Get you some Auburn licensed apparel. I got the hoodie, the navy hoodie with the little throwback Albie on the chest. They got cool polos. I can't wait to see what they come out for this year, Auburn licensed wise. And if you want just regular stuff, they have that too. Polos, all kind of stuff. You got your master stuff coming that's already out that you could get on and get here in time for next week. Use coupon code BUTTON20 to take 20% off. Check it out, rowback.com. We'll be back right after this. The wide receivers are just on a completely different level, and we're not going to spend too much time on that because, we've already talked about the wide receivers, but it's sort of confirmation bias. I mean, not confirmation bias. It is. You have your bias confirmed. You thought that the wide receivers were going to be great, and through the first week, they have been so impressive. Again, the biggest storyline to me is Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson sort of stepping up and cleaning up some of the missteps they had last year as far as the playbook's concerned. Holy cow, man, this wide receiver group is could carry this team to, some offensive heights that we haven't seen in quite a while. Have been hearing a lot about the defensive backs as well, believe it or not. I know it's weird to hear good things about the wide receivers and then good things about the defensive backs, and we'll talk about, what that means here in just a second. But Blake Woodby is one of the more impressive freshmen maybe out of the whole class so far. I am not going to be shocked if he somehow carves out a starting role in some packages early on. He's playing outside. He's playing inside, a little bit of nickel. He's doing a little bit of everything, and he's doing it against some of the better wide receivers. Now, he's not winning every battle. None of them are. But all I've heard are good things about Blake Woodby. Seen a little bit of film as well, a little bit of practice film. He is very, very impressive. He's not slowing down anytime soon. Jay Crawford also. You worry about some guys being a one-hit wonder. Not Jay Crawford. He's here to stay. And he's showing, at least in this first week, that last year was not just a flash in the pan season. I think he had a big interception in the scrimmage part of Saturday's practice. He's going to be a stud. Golly, this defensive back room, man. these corners, these safeties, depth and talent everywhere. I really think this could be one of the better secondaries Auburn has had in quite some time. Here's the big thing, okay? I mentioned the offensive side having success, and I've mentioned the defensive side having success. That is exactly what you want to hear coming out of spring. You want to hear it be more 50-50. The last thing you want to hear is the offense is unstoppable. They're carving up the defense every single practice, or the defense isn't even giving up a single first down. The defense is stifling. And that's all you hear. You don't want to hear that one side's dominating the other. And I feel like that for the past several years, it's been that way. Man, our defense is going to be so good. The defense is just shutting down the offense every single time they go out. Interceptions, turnovers, they can't get first downs. It's not like that this year. If you had to, it's so hard to really know what a team's going to be coming out of a spring practice or a fall camp because of that very thing. If one side's dominating the other, well, you're concerned about the other side. It's crazy how 50-50 it's been to me, at least from the information that I've gathered, from the information I've gotten, and then the information that I read elsewhere. You can point to success on both sides in a lot of different places. I think that balance is perfect. It shows growth as a team, the competitiveness. Hey, I may lose a battle, but I'm going to step back up and I'm going to win the next one. When you're talking about teams having the edge, figuring out a way to win, not letting mistakes compound each other, this is what you want to hear. Seems like a complete contrast from last year. This is what you want to hear. There's going to be a lot more football talk. They get back practicing again tomorrow, so we'll have some stuff. We'll get some notes and things like that we'll talk about. Big Cat weekend's coming up this weekend. Auburn may be closing in on a couple of commits, particularly at quarterback. We're going to discuss that throughout the week. A lot of stuff going on. And then if you're following, the basketball pod, we're going to have a ton of basketball content as well. We'll get Zepp on here, probably get Taylor Corn on here, Zach and Dap, all those guys ready to talk about basketball as we head to the Final Four. But spring, hey, don't forget about spring football. At least after the first week, it's about as good as you could imagine reporting-wise on what all's going on. It's about as good as you could ask for. So definitely fired up. Still got about a week and a half left before you have your no A-day 1 hour practice, whatever you want to call it, celebration of the end of spring. So still got some time, still got some fun football chatter as well as basketball. So you need to be subscribed to this channel with that alarm bell hit, because there's going to be content dropping every single day, different times of the day. So you got to keep your head on a swivel. I really appreciate you guys listening. Y'all make this thing so much fun. This is so fun. And it's all because of you guys. The chat, the live chat, the premiere chat. You guys are great. Everybody comments. I look forward to the comments every single day. Even the bad ones, even the negative ones. We're going to keep doing it. Guys, thanks for listening again. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay button.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.